Paul, that's exactly right. Just within the past 2 or 3 minutes, we've seen a lot of activity. Here comes a car right now, rolling very quickly, ordering us off the sidewalk. And we saw two officers. We saw two officers running as fast as they could going in that direction. This is at least the 10th vehicle that we have seen rolling by with this kind of speed. Clearly, there's some activity going on that is related to this case. And there you see it. Every available vehicle moving as quickly as they possibly can in an easterly direction down Orange Show. There you saw this officer going up Waterman. So clearly something is going on, Paul and Pat. It appears that there may be some activity. We can tell you that throughout the day, we have seen that some suspects have been stopped. There was one person, for example, dressed in camouflage who was detained and released. Here we go again. So these officers moving at least 60 miles an hour. The word is out. There's some activity here. And here we see the SWAT vehicle on live television. So much of what we see in these incidents have to do with demeanor. When we see people, officers in the ready, somewhat relaxed, and here you see clearly there is what activity going on in this. We can't really tell you exactly where they are heading or why, but you can see every possible vehicle that could be rolling is rolling code 3. Even as we saw this truck, there's another SWAT officer. Even vehicles that do not have lights and sirens are rolling.
You know what, Randy? I heard something. I heard a report about a discount mall that would have been north on Waterman. I know you can't confirm that, but it does make you wonder as fast as these vehicles are moving and as many as are moving out in that direction.
You know, Pat, I passed that discount mall on the way here. I believe it is northeast of our location. Man, that van was just rolling at least 50 miles an hour with the side door open. Did you see that?
Yes, we did. It's frightening, Randy.
I just said to Pat, Randy, it gives you chills watching this. And it does, as Pat mentioned to me, it reminds you so much of the Dorner situation.
Yes, it does. That much manpower.
You know, that's so much.
And you remember, Randy,
really
at the exact moment when they had Dorner cornered, where they knew where he was, that's when you saw just a plethora of a bevy of police vehicles, law enforcement vehicles going to the same direction because they knew that's where he was. Makes you think like they know where these people are.
You know, that is exactly right. As you remember, there was very little going on, and then all of a sudden, everything changed in an instant. And that's what we see in these investigations. So you have witnessed now on live television 2 SWAT vehicles, at least 10 or more, including undercover vehicles and even vehicles like trucks, for example, pickup trucks that did not have any lights and sirens. And I don't know if you could see that, Pat, but on the vehicle that just went by, he had a weapon trained outside of the car as he made that turn.
I did see that.
Take a closer look at it later, but did you see that?
Yes, I did see that. And again, that looks eerily familiar. Eerily familiar.
It kind of, to be honest, it kind of stands the hair on the back of your neck when you're in the middle of this and see this happen so quickly.
I just said that to Pat. It's just, it sends chills down your spine because you know at this point, obviously, something is up. We don't know what is up at this point, but to see that kind of a response to whatever is taking place certainly is a chilling situation. You know, we saw the SWAT vans go by, and it just so happens that SWAT was doing a training exercise today. It was absolute pure coincidence. Absolute pure coincidence.
That's right.
That they weren't too far away from the Inland Regional Center. They were just going through a training exercise. So
trained outside of the car as he made that turn.
I did see that.
We'll take a closer look at it later, but did you see that?
Yes, I did see that. And again, that looks eerily familiar. Eerily familiar.
It kind of, to be honest, it kind of stands the hair on the back of your neck when you're in the middle of this and see this happen so quickly.
I just said that to Pat. It's just, it sends chills down your spine because you know at this point, obviously, something is up. We don't know what is up at this point, but to see that kind of a response to whatever is taking place certainly is a chilling situation. You know, we saw the SWAT vans go by, and it just so happens that SWAT was doing a training exercise today. It was absolute pure coincidence. Absolute pure coincidence.
That's right.
That they weren't too far away from the Inland Regional Center. They were just going through a training exercise, so they got on scene quite quickly, but they did want to reiterate several times that it would just happen to be an absolute coincidence. But nonetheless, since they were training, they were in full gear, and they made a very, very quick response to the shooting site.
You know, Randy, can you talk about...
Listen,
oh, go ahead.
Paul, I was going to say, police are yelling, get away, get away. And you will see now we have officers coming from a different direction. Here's a CHP unit. And now this is federal police.
Oh, my. It's hard to imagine we have that much law enforcement.
City of Colton police officers and CHP.
And that gets back to the mutual aid that we were talking about, that
Yes.
everybody's helping everybody out today.
And that gray pickup truck was obviously some kind of undercover law enforcement vehicle as well. Randy, it seems like you wanted to say something.
And you know, we kind of, yeah, I was just going to say we really kind of hope for activity this soon after a shooting like this, because as you know, once a certain number of hours or days go by, everything slows down and there's no resolution. We don't know what happened or what caused the situation, and much of the information comes early on. So it's nice to see clear activity. We cannot say what is at the other end of this, but
Randy,
we certainly can say.
Randy, we just
yes.
heard word per a scanner in our assignment desk that an officer may have been hit by gunfire. That could possibly be the reason why you have all this law enforcement response.
And that's all we know, and it certainly hasn't been confirmed. That's what we've heard
per the scanner.
Via scanners,
and we don't have a location either.
No.
You can see heavily armed SWAT vehicles driving up and down the street. Now, we understand that the vehicle is somewhere in this area with bullet holes in it. We did see a person being taken into custody. We also heard of an officer down in the area when the shots were fired. You can see a lot of police activity out here, many of the intersections, and you can see this area right there. You've got vehicles in there, guns drawn, officers pointing in a direction. The issue is we have yet to see that car. We have yet to see that vehicle that they've been chasing. There's that SWAT vehicle, so we're going to follow him in. Usually in these situations, we can be a lot lower and we can identify these areas a lot better. Right now, because of the flight restriction, because the officers from the Sheriff's Department don't want us injured, don't want us to be interfering in their investigation, and right now, there might be the apprehension of this suspect. Right now, they're basically keeping us at a distance. I think there may have been some wires crossed out here. This might be the vehicle they've been talking about, right there with the door open.
Right
it may not have
light.
been an SUV at all. And nope, they're passing that up. They're going by that one, so that's probably not the car they've been talking about. We're going to keep an eye on this vehicle right here. That's going to be making the approach to that SUV. If you have any other information for us, maybe you might be hearing something a little different. We're hearing on the scanner, officer down, so we're definitely going to keep an eye out right now. We're looking in the neighborhood. We have yet to see that vehicle that they're talking about.
Do you see well, there's another, we saw so many vehicles.
Right.
Are they all in this area,
Orbit.
Stu?
We gotta go in orbit. I have it behind a tree. I'm sorry, this is such a fluid situation right now. I'm working with our pilot. We can't make those quick moves that we're used to out here because of the fact that we are so high. Oh my gosh, yeah, definitely a suspect down. I'm not sure if we're gonna want to put that on television right now. There's that SUV, definitely bullet ridden. I understand this is on Richardson. Richardson's the name of the street out here in the San Bernardino area. Officers still coming out in numbers out here. You see some officers there and a large amount of officers right here. Now this obviously related to that shooting earlier this afternoon where 14 people lost their lives. So you can see that vehicle right now heavily riddled with bullets. Anything that I can report to the people out there doesn't seem to have California plates on it. These might be dealer plates on the front, but they definitely do not look like California plates. I do know that there is a person down. I don't want to show that on television at the corner of the screen on the street. I would not say that that's an officer, because they would be definitely be taking that, doing their best to get that person to safety. I would guess that that's going to be a suspect. Right now you can see officers working their way down this one street. We did hear the helicopter talking earlier on. Had a suspect running southbound. This direction right here is a little bit more northbound. It's a very fluid situation. We're going to keep an eye on it, and we're going to see what we can see without sending images that may be disturbing to the viewers at home.
Well,
right now, though, this does seem to be the end of this tragic shooting that happened out here earlier this afternoon.
Well, Stu, we do want to say that we have heard, these are unconfirmed reports, that the officer, I believe, is that correct, was hit by a ricochet bullet, which perhaps is good news rather than being, you know, a direct hit from feet away or even yards away. So that's the latest on that. This is a very interesting situation.
It is, because I'm looking at some vehicles, Paul. They almost look like civilian vehicles. Look at this, well, they're all behind.
Was possibly at the Inland Regional Center today, and that telephone number is 800-637-6653. We are asking that anybody that has family that was at this facility call this telephone number first, and the person will advise you where you need to go in order to talk to somebody, get reunited with your families.
Sergeant, you've got an ongoing tactical situation up the road here with a suspect down and officers possibly down. What do you know about that?
I did hear the radio traffic on that. There is an active scene. I believe there may be a suspect down. It's my understanding that the officer is okay, and I don't have many updates on that other than the officer is okay.
Confirm it's connected to this shooting.
I cannot confirm that at this point. Again, there's a dark-colored SUV involved, and I believe there is one suspect down. It's very active, and we will update you as soon as we get more information on that.
Just one scene at the moment.
Correct, just one scene.
And only one suspect.
I only know of one. That doesn't mean that there aren't more at this point.
How far away is that from here?
Probably a couple miles from here.
So, Sergeant, please repeat once again. There is an active scene related possibly to this mass shooting earlier. What is going on?
The only thing I know is there were shots fired. Officers were involved, and there is a suspect down. Whether it's related or not, we don't know yet. We will update you, as we told you, we will update you on the hour. We'll remain out here, and we will update you as soon as we get any additional, hopefully within the hour.
Were any officers hit in the exchange of gunfire between the suspect and the officers?
I cannot confirm that. I know that all officers are okay. Whether or not they were struck, I don't know.
What led you to this SUV?
I couldn't tell you that at this point either. It's just this is such an active, fluid investigation. There's so many aspects to it, and we just don't have all that information at this time.
Is there a suspect on the run right now?
That I don't know.
Sergeant, is the building clear? We saw these school buses go by. Who was in the buses, and is the building now secure?
That I don't know. It is my assumption that witnesses and victims were in those buses, but I don't know if the building is completely cleared yet.
What about the condition of victims at the hospital? How many people are hospitalized as far as you know, and what generally, if you can tell us what their conditions are? Are there any gravely critical?
I've heard that they range from minor injuries that occurred while falling down trying to escape, and they go up as high as gunshot wounds. So I don't know their status.
Why did the number go up 3 this hour? Were these 3 people that were found in the building hiding? Where did these 3 come from?
I don't know. It was just an update that the fire department provided us. Okay, we'll be back at
I heard that there were gun shells found on
4 o'clock.
Is that correct?
I don't know. We will be back at 4 o'clock, hopefully with some more, and all media coverage will be here at this location.
Thank you.
Now, we are watching this live picture. What you're seeing there on the uppermost part of the screen are 2 police armored vehicles that have blocked the front and the rear of a dark SUV. Several windows in the SUV have been broken, perhaps by gunfire. We just heard from the police spokesman that a suspect is down. This is a suspect in the mass shooting earlier today, about 4 hours ago, in which 31 people were killed or wounded, 14 of them killed, 17 wounded, many in critical condition. Police received information from witnesses that 3 gunmen escaped in a dark SUV. Then the next thing we knew was that there was gunfire at this location, apparently gunfire by the officers. 1 suspect is down. We don't know what might have happened to the others. The officers are lined up behind their armored cars, obviously approaching this very carefully, which suggests there might be someone left in the vehicle. But we have not seen any movement inside the vehicle, best we can tell. This is a live picture from our helicopter. Just watching these events unfold. The attack at about 2 o'clock Eastern Time apparently targeted a holiday party that was being held by the San Bernardino County Department of Public Health in a state office building. We have no word on the motive why someone would do that, but witnesses describe men dressed in black.
One of the first scenes we did see, they had a person on the ground, they had their weapons out. It was a long shot, but that person was definitely being taken into custody. So I don't know if there was some other interaction. Perhaps this person got in the way. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. Right now, we don't know that, have that information, but they were taking somebody into custody at another location. Perhaps they dropped somebody off. It's all going to be found out later on. But there is a person deceased next to this vehicle, believed to be that suspect. Again, this is probably, we can never use a definite until we hear it for sure, but probably related to, if not the shooter that was shooting earlier this afternoon. Go ahead, Paul.
Stu, back up the street. I saw a lot of officers walking back towards vehicles, if you can go back up the street, but there's a house up there where that cluster of trees is, right there to the left. A lot of officers walk towards that yard to your left right there, right up at the top of the screen. Were they going to a vehicle or were they going into that house?
Well, you know, I don't see anybody going into that home right there, but we did see officers in that area for sure, and there was a large number of them. Perhaps they were taking cover, perhaps they were using that for a different angle. We're going to try to move Sky 9 around. I'm not really clear exactly what happened out here, but the officer, the helicopter down below, said he didn't want any other media in the area. Perhaps there's some above us, but we are going to move a little bit closer. I'm going to talk to my pilot here in just a second. Brad, if you can go ahead and move the helicopter a little bit.
Yeah, that's another angle we're looking at there.
Shots. But you know, you were right. When we first arrived, there was a number of officers in these yards. And we heard earlier on that there was somebody running. Not sure if it was related to this, but we did hear the helicopter very clearly say they had a suspect running to the south.
You know, I'm glad that you did not show that body, Stu. You had mentioned you saw it, and you said, I don't think it's good for me to show this to our viewers at the time. We understand that there is a body on the street, possibly one in the vehicle, and I want to point out again, it was just interesting to me that that vehicle's lights were flashing.
You know,
go ahead, Stu.
Just lost Stu's audio right there for a little bit, and his signal.
You know, yes, I do believe that this person may, that vehicle definitely, if it was involved, there may be weapons inside that vehicle. There may have been another person inside that vehicle, and that's the reason why they're not clearing it as quickly as we usually see at the end of a pursuit. Those are heavily armed vehicles. Those are specially trained officers in heavy body armor. So they're going to make their approach. They're going to get up close to that vehicle. They're going to look inside. We still don't know for sure sure if there was a second person inside that vehicle or not. Still very fluid out here. We're trying to work with the law enforcement, but you can bet they're very busy right now, and they're not taking very many questions from us. This is a neighborhood, like you said, a very residential neighborhood right now, flooded with officers. Earlier on, we did see one person being taken into custody, and as you said too, they had officers in these yards bunched up in groups. They were talking about perhaps a person on the run, and it looks they just right now so fluid, so many different little aspects going on. It's going to be a while before they get this all kind of sorted out.
And Stu, it's kind of difficult for us to see what those two SWAT vehicles are doing. Are there SWAT officers outside of those two vehicles approaching the SUV at this point in time?
They're definitely outside the vehicle. We're moving around. It seems very slow. We are up extremely high, so the shots are going to be moving very, very slowly. You can kind of see them right now, and this is the best. The Sky 2, has an awesome camera system, powerful lens. This is the best we can get. We're over at 7,000 feet right now, looking down at this scene. So this is the best we're going to get out of the camera. But you can see officers, weapons drawn. They're using their door as a protective device. You can see some shields. Excuse me, 1 second. 1 o'clock low. I'm sorry about that. I was talking to the pilot. He can't even see it in the neighborhood with his naked eye, so I'm trying to guide him in. But right there, you can see the vehicles. You can see the officers out. You can see one of their shields actually leaning up against the back of that armored SUV right there, just in case they need it. The fact that they haven't approached the vehicle any faster makes me believe that perhaps there is movement inside that vehicle still. If there wasn't, they definitely would be a lot closer, and they would have cleared that vehicle by now. They haven't, so this makes me wonder if there is something still going on inside. We are trying to listen in best we can. It definitely is a Ford, possibly an Expedition. You can see that vehicle right there starting to back up. Perhaps they want to get a better position to see what's in there, but they have not approached it. So it makes me wonder what's inside.
What about, you can tell a lot too by the actions of the officers on the scene. We saw so much activity, fluid activity, and intense activity. Did you notice any more searching going on, even not in this particular area, but as you took a wider shot there, we could see a number of law enforcement officers converge, a number of that phalanx of vehicles. Well, they took another position.
These officers right here are very tense. See that officer popping out that hole right there with a weapon pointed at that vehicle. They also have a dog sitting right there as well. So for them not to make that type of approach right now, there is something very dangerous about this situation. Obviously this person if this is the suspect, took the lives of 14 people and injured several others. So they are going to be very, very, very tense right now, as they're trained, they're on their heightened alert. They're going to probably make approach, see if that vehicle's clear. We haven't seen any medical aid being rendered, so we believe that person that was out of the vehicle, the suspect that was inside that vehicle, is probably declared deceased at this time. Some of these officers, especially the SWAT guys, they're trained rescue. They are actually paramedics, so they can make those type of assessments, render aid if needed, or declare a person deceased. Right now, you can see that activity, that other truck moving around, just trying to probably get a better angle looking inside that vehicle. This happening again on Richardson, in the Redlands area, very near San Bernardino, just south of the San Bernardino airport. Officers converging on this vehicle that was running from the police earlier on. Vehicle matches the description of the shooter that took 14 lives earlier this afternoon in San Bernardino. So this may be the righteous end to that, or this may be just totally a different story altogether.
Yeah, it's interesting to try and figure out what that second vehicle in the rear of the SUV is actually attempting to do. I guess angles just appear in, but well, you look at the front of that SUV, the windshield has dozens of bullet holes through it.
And the door is open, and the lights are still flashing, and then there is the other SWAT vehicle right in front, and the officers are out.
Something's up.
There is movement around the side of the vehicle where the canine is.
One is down and one is in custody. Brad.
It's
Brad, one down, one in custody.
We're hearing that Stu's asking right now. Stu?
if one is in custody
Yeah,
and
one
one is
down,
down.
one in custody.
So that's two.
That's we're getting it passed along from the airship up here. That right now we're getting information that the exact quote was all suspects in custody, either down, meaning injured, or in custody. So there may have been 2 people inside this vehicle, but right now we're getting information from an official source, a police helicopter out here, call sign Omaha, saying that all suspects in custody right now.
All right, but they're still taking their time, not approaching this vehicle head on, as you see those officers that are still on the side of that SWAT vehicle there. But again, who knows? They're probably trying to figure out there could be some live ammunition inside this truck.
Or
We
an
heard
IED,
about reports
that maybe they didn't leave behind if they're involved in the shooting earlier today.
We heard about suspicious
Perhaps
packages.
it could have a couple IEDs in it, so you got to be careful. Maybe they'll call in the bomb squad once they make sure the scene is secure and have the bomb squad go through the vehicle. Notice that the wipers on the vehicle move every once in a while too.
And the lights.
Flashing lights, yeah. The
wipers
hazard
and
lights
the
are on.
flashing lights. And again, they're right behind that door.
Go ahead, Stu.
You know, as we're moving around out here, one of the things, maybe one of the reasons why that other vehicle, that other armored vehicle is moving around is something they call crossfire. You don't want to have 2 officers pointing a weapon at each other. If, you know, such a thing as contagious gunfire happens, everybody starts shooting, they might injure each other. So that might be one of the reasons why they keep moving these vehicles around. Is there somebody else inside the vehicle? I am very interested to find out that as well. This vehicle has bullet holes throughout the vehicle. Front windshield, side windows. You can see some holes even on the top, possibly where ricochets have occurred. So this vehicle was definitely involved in a gun. That was the officers shooting at the vehicle or the suspect shooting out from inside out of the vehicle. That's unclear at this time, but you can
Losing Stu's signal again. I wanted to ask Stu, on the ground right there, on the back right of the vehicle, on the other side from this angle. Exactly, we're now looking from a different direction. There's a lot of dark, see the darkness right there trailing away from the vehicle? I wonder if the fuel tank was hit.
Which some
might
kind
make
of
things
spill.
a little more dangerous as well. And
They
again,
don't
this
seem
is
to
the
be there.
opposite
Well, they're
end.
in the... Go ahead.
Go ahead, Stu. Yeah, there he is. We still don't have his audio. Now we do.
Yeah, we haven't heard about any kind of spill or anything like that. Perhaps maybe he just pulled up on an area where there was a spill.
You see that?
But
you see what we're talking
I see the
about,
same
Stu?
thing you're talking about. Right there at the back there, it looks like definitely like something is coming out the back of the vehicle. But you can also see all the windows are blown out as well. Maybe they had some fluids inside.
Boy, it's really just an ominous sight, though, to see that SWAT truck, that officer sticking out the front there.
You know, you have to wonder what
pointed.
the holdup is, because we do have confirmation from a police airship to Stu's directly that one suspect down, one in custody. So that's 2.
But they could be another person.
Yeah, because they said perhaps
could be
up
in this
to
vehicle.
3 left the scene. They didn't say 3.
No,
the sheriff
said up to.
And the chief of police said up to 3.
So they couldn't
So
really
we didn't have a
confirm.
solid number at any point in time.
That's
but at
probably
least
why
we
they're
know
being
that
extra careful.
the 2 are taken care of.
Yes, according to reports.
You could
but
have a
again,
3rd person in there
and
lying
they're still not approaching.
No, that's what makes
They're
you wonder
still
about the situation.
Waiting. All right, we have Peter Dowd, who is on the ground live at the scene, and this is happening right now in the 1800 block of San Bernardino Avenue. Peter, can you tell us what you know so far? Peter? All right, well,
We lost Peter's cell phone service.
We'll try to get Peter Dowd as soon as we can. But again, just to update you on the situation, we are looking at the 1800 block of San Bernardino Avenue, where the dark-colored SUV is just full of bullet holes. The door is open. We have SWAT vehicle. Now we see the SWAT vehicle backing away. It has made a number of different moves or angles, and we weren't exactly sure what they were trying to do. Maybe determine if someone else was in this vehicle. We have heard that there is one suspect down, one in custody, and there the SWAT vehicle again is making another turn. It backs up and then goes into a different position.
As Stu pointed out, this might be a little bit better angle, particularly as he talked about contagious fire once they start firing on a suspect. That way they're not caught in the crossfire. This has seemed to me that if they're going to come at it, this is probably a better angle to come at it. Now, what is this device coming in, Pat?
Well, it looks like a shield.
It does.
It is a shield of some kind. There are
looks like it's remotely
officers
controlled.
exiting the back of this SWAT vehicle. And this, yes, remote-controlled shield now being put into place. Folks, this is live TV. They're going to climb on board it, so they are protected behind this shield. Obviously, they want to get an even closer look.
So they can take a look. Exactly. That must be bulletproof glass in the middle, because it looked like it had an opening, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
The thing that's up in the air vertically?
Yes,
what they're standing
as if
behind?
you were holding it,
exactly.
But now it's on a vehicle where they can maneuver it, a motorized shield of some kind.
Hang on, because when that thing moved, it sort of had a herky-jerky motion, so...
Yes, it did.
Stu,
Hey,
tell us what's going on.
What is this?
Well, Pat, Paul, that right there is one of the new toys in the arsenal of most of the Southern California SWAT teams. That's kind of a Bobcat. There's an actual person inside that driving it. It is heavily armored, and it has it doesn't even have tires. You can see it has like tank tracks on it. It is designed for situations obviously like this, but also it can do a lot of damage. It can break down walls. It is a very useful tool for the SWAT team or any type of tactical situation. I am not sure why they have so many officers that want to get on board of this thing right now, but it is exactly as you described. It is an armored shield that they can drive up to that vehicle right there where all those shots were fired. I mentioned earlier on, I said there's a dog right there. That dog, obviously a canine unit, that's a police officer, and basically sitting ready to do something. Nothing as needs to be done. One of the officers right there basically just raised his weapon. There may be something going on inside that car still. Maybe there is an injured suspect possibly in the back seat. They're not going to render any type of aid to that person until they know he is disarmed and is in a position where he cannot hurt anybody or any of these officers. So right now, this is a specially designed machine. It's based on almost a construction machine. It's based on a Bobcat. You've seen them out there with a shovel on the front sometimes, moving dirt, and they basically armored this thing to the T so that the operator inside has a complete protection. We've seen it being used on a couple of other scenes.
Do you know if the operator inside has, a remote viewing? Is there a screen that he's looking at with a camera on the outside?
It actually has armored glass all the way around. There's a front windscreen, and he's probably looking at these guys' backs right there. And there's a hole right there in the center. You can see where those officers are walking through. Maybe they're trying to. Maybe it is a glass door that they have to close. Looks like they're having a little trouble.
You know what, Stu? Let's go to Peter Doubt, because we have him now, and he is very close, and he can describe what he's looking at from the ground. Peter.
That's right, Pat and Paul. I'm at the intersection of Riverview Drive and San Bernardino Avenue, where just moments ago I spoke with several witnesses who said they actually witnessed the gunfire between police and the suspect. They say the dark SUV stopped at the intersection, the door opened, a man got out and started firing. One of the witnesses I spoke with said it sounded like the 4th of July. He said thousands of bullets just started spraying. People in their cars ducked for safety. They were very scared. At that point, they said police swerved in, moved very quickly, and started exchanging gunfire with that suspect. That suspect, we're told, who was also shot. One of the witnesses I spoke with said he actually saw him hit. Again, this is in an area near several businesses. People came out to see what was going on. Obviously, a huge commotion. I'm standing next to several police vehicles as well as several fire trucks as well. This area is still cordoned off. But again, just a complete chaotic scene out here earlier. About 15 minutes ago, again, is when all of this gunfire erupted. And the witnesses out here say they are just glad that they weren't hurt because one of the bullets hit their car door.
Peter, let me ask you this question. When you say the SUV stopped in the intersection and the suspect got out and opened fire, was he shooting at police officers or was he firing his weapon indiscriminately?
My understanding, according to witnesses, Paul, is that the suspect started shooting towards the direction of police, although many drivers, of course, were in the area, parked nearby, waiting at the intersection. So, of course, they were caught in the crosshairs. A lot of them said that the bullets came so close to them that they felt they could hear it very clearly. One of the witnesses I spoke with said he actually was almost hit himself. That's when they tailed it out of here. But, of course, the police were the ones who arrived and were the ones who were directly engaging with the gunfire with the suspect.
Well, you know what, Peter, it sounds like, I mean, it was a split second that this happened, that they really didn't have time to try to secure the civilians in the area or advise them to get their vehicles out of the way.
That's right, and that's why police were obviously very quick to move in and get a lot of the people out of the direction from where all this was happening. And of course, again, this is in an area where there are a lot of businesses, a lot of people work here. So of course, police were trying to get a lot of the folks who wanted to come outside and take pictures and see what was going on back inside because this is very dangerous for them as well. But the witnesses I spoke with said the gunfire lasted for several minutes. I said, how many bullets did you hear, or how many shots did you hear fired? They said thousands. They said it was just rapid fire.
Peter, let me ask you this question. From that intersection to where this active crime scene is taking place, what's the distance?
Well, I'm at the intersection of Riverview Drive and San Bernardino Avenue, and I can actually see pretty closely, I would say, less than a half mile. They've obviously cordoned off several of these blocks. This is as close as the media can get right now, but a lot of the witnesses came up to us right after this happened. A lot of them are actually stopped right now. Their cars pulled over to the side of the road. They're not going anywhere until police clear the scene. So we're very close, Paul, to where this actually took place.
So this SUV, Pat and Peter, did not get far once that initial confrontation took place at that intersection.
Well, we actually witnessed, when we saw that bevy of law enforcement converging, this is where they were going. Exactly. They were going after this SUV, and ladies and gentlemen, if you were watching at that particular time, that was about an hour ago, we actually saw it live on air as they were leaving their respective places and trying to catch up with what was happening, active gunfire. Right. They were moving so fast, and it had to be so frightening. And again, yes, some of those vehicles were undercover police vehicles, but others were civilian vehicles because they happened so quickly. How could you get people out of the way in time? And now here we're looking at another shot still of these SUVs and this Shield vehicle that seems to be making more movement right now, Stu, but it's moving backwards.
What have you heard, Stu?
Well, we've been basically just watching, bated breath, trying to figure out if there's somebody inside that vehicle, dead or alive. That vehicle right there, heavily armored. Those officers are able to move around, get closer to that vehicle. That's what they're trying to do right now. Perhaps there's somebody in the back seat of this vehicle. That's the only question right now. We did hear earlier on from a source, a helicopter, a PD helicopter. It may have even been, it may have even been a federal officer type of helicopter, and they did tell us, and the verbiage is still a little unclear. They said all suspects in custody, either deceased or in custody. So that still kind of leaves it open if there was two or if there was one. Right now, we do know that there is one person deceased on the other side of the road, outside the shot right now. You can see those two armored vehicles. Those are SWAT vehicles, tactical vehicles. One of them is actually from Colton. The other one may have
having a little problem with Stu's audio.
This is so interesting to look at this as Stu described it as a new toy in the arsenal. We're used to seeing that robotic camera go up to some vehicles and actually peer inside of windows to see what could possibly be inside. But this is the first time I've actually seen this deployed, and I'm not exactly sure if this was involved a couple of years ago in that Dorner shootout, but never seen anything like this. They are getting closer to the vehicle. Saw some officers actually look like they disembarked and are looking inside.
They're still behind the shield right there. There's 1, 2, 3, at least 3, possibly 4.
Okay, and we see some more officers moving in. More officers moving in. Looks like their weapons are drawn too.
Plus, they're also handing them a long pole, and it may have a camera on it. Maybe they're going to stick that forward so that they can take. See that long pole? They're going to put that in that SUV. Maybe it has a camera on it. And they're going to look around in that SUV.
A robotic camera. This
Never
is
seen anything like this
handled.
before either.
That must be new as well.
It does look like he's trying to get it through some sort of port. Stu,
can you describe? Is that some type of robotic camera or on a pole of some kind?
It's just a pole with a rake that maybe possibly they were going to use it to break out some of that glass to look inside, but it looks like they used it to open up the back door, open up that back door on the vehicle, which also leads you to kind of wonder, how did that back door open up? If there may have been somebody else in the back seat. If there's a running gun battle, what would be the point for that suspect to open the back door? So that may be one of the reasons why they are so suspicious about what's going on back there. That yellow pole that they're using, basically like a rake or something, they use it to open the door up. That's what they're doing right there. And there definitely was a second person inside that vehicle, also probably deceased at this time.
All right, so you actually could see it, Stu.
I just saw it right here.
All right.
The person either, Stu, as they opened the door, the person just fell to the side. The person may have been leaning up against the door. The person may not be deceased, might be severely wounded.
But at any rate, thanks for pulling away.
There's always that possibility.
That's right. So that's why we pull our cameras far back because we don't want to show that on the air. But now we know. They said all suspects are in custody. So that would be the third person.
No longer a
one deceased, one in custody, possibly, or they all could be deceased for that matter. We just don't know. But they said all suspects have been accounted for. And
which all suspects in custody, as Sue said, at the time, kind of a vague statement, but once we saw what just happened, no longer vague. Yeah.
They could be deceased as well. But apparently this would be a count of 3 people with that extra body that Stu just showed us there.
And we don't know whether or not that person is deceased. They did tumble out of the door as soon as they opened it up part way.
There's still a lot of bullet holes, that's for sure.
Oh my gosh.
And you know, the interesting thing, this isn't that far from where this happened. They didn't get very far at all.
No, not at all.
You know, at least in the Dorner situation, we had a manifest of some kind, and maybe something like that will surface if you have these many people involved in the taking of lives and wounding that many people and targeting the building that they targeted. That would make some sense or give us some kind of idea as to why this happened in the first place.
Yeah, there are certainly more questions than answers at this point in this investigation. Stu, what have you been able to hear from up above up there?
Right now, it's pretty much just status. They're talking back and forth. Nothing about what's actually going on inside that vehicle. You know, we did move off very, very quickly. You know, I thought, you know, that I saw something flop out the door.
Yeah, you did.
Now,
I did too.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what is going on right now. We are trying to, you know, they're not making blow-by-blows down there, but it does seem like something is out of the vehicle right now, possibly a suspect, maybe. Hopefully it's something other than, you know, even though if it was a suspect, righteously, this would be the good end for that, but still it's a human life, and we'd never want to see anything like that taken. But right now, you can see that vehicle definitely blocked in. Officers not relaxed. That situation has not changed very much. Some of the officers on the outer perimeter seem to be a little bit more relaxed, but the ones right up in the front there, they all still have their weapons drawn. They are still very much in an aggressive stance. This is definitely not what they would say code 4, or it's all clear. This is still a very active situation, and this happening, as you said, on a very residential street, not far from where that shooting took place. Just getting a little bit wider just for a second. I don't think we're going to miss much. Giving you an idea of the police presence that's still here on scene. Some of these officers basically went back to their original areas where they were, where they started out. You can see the number of officers out here, and this is also a different angle that where Paul was talking about when we first arrived out here. They had officers bunched up around these gates and fences with their weapons drawn, all pointed out at this direction. We heard from Tom Waite talking about that, you know, that shooting in that intersection. It must have been surreal for anybody that may have been in that area to hear those number of shots, to see something like that happen. That vehicle was being pursued, as we understand it, was being pursued by officers. It is a vehicle that was described from that shooting earlier this afternoon. It does not have California plates on it, as far as I can tell. They do not look like California plates. Right now, though, whatever it was that's in the back seat is out of the back seat. Officers don't seem to be offering any aid. I'm wondering if maybe that is not a body. We're still kind of waiting on that. I don't want to push in too tight to find out. And right now, it's still a very static situation, but a very tense situation. Nobody's calling code 4. And you can see some of those other officers that were out around the vehicle now behind their armored vehicles. So I'm kind of wondering what their plan of action is going to be. I'm sure they're going to want to clear that car and say that this is all going to be all clear, and they may just approach it and start investigating it.
All right, Stu. We want to get to Michelle Geely at the command post with some new information. Michelle.
Paul, we're awaiting a press conference here. We were told it may happen at the top of the hour, but in light of all these events going on, it could be delayed. I did, however, just speak to someone with ATF, Special Agent, Public Information Officer, and she indicated that there may be a suspect on the loose. That's the information that she is hearing. She says that there is a possible DOA suspect in or near that vehicle. This occurred after a police shootout. There was a pursuit just prior to that, as Peter Doubt has been outlining for us. But she said that according to the officials, one suspect has fled the scene. When I asked her about a third suspect, she said that she has no information about that. But again, one suspect DOA in or near the car and another suspect has fled. Again, that's according to this public information officer with ATF who is here at the scene. We are awaiting more information from San Bernardino officials, both the sheriff and the police chief. We haven't seen them lately. They said that there would be a briefing around 4 o'clock, but they also did indicate that in light of all that's going on a couple of miles from where I'm standing, that could be delayed. But there could be a suspect still outstanding.
Well, you know what, Michelle, if we're looking at the number of people that we heard were involved in this, 1 to 3, and it seems like 3 have been accounted for, that would be a 4th person that would be on the loose. Of course, the officers at the beginning said up to 3. They didn't give an exact number.
Right. The last briefing, the authorities indicated there were up to 3 suspects. But again, this is the information from this one PIO, public information officer here at the scene. She tells me that this is the information that she's been getting from radio traffic. When I asked her, to count out the suspects, she said all that she knows is that there is some word on the radio, on the police radio, that one of the suspects may have fled the area. So unconfirmed, but that is something that the officials are talking about here.
Well, that's interesting. I wonder if Stu Mandela's heard about that, because the information he got from the helicopter up in the air that he said represented a federal agency was the quote unquote all suspects in custody. So Stu, let's ask you about that. Did you hear Michelle Geely just now?
Yes, we definitely did, and that was one of the reasons why I made that wide shot very, very quickly there, because I was going to see if they had a perimeter set up in this area. Now, I do concur with Michelle that when we first got here on scene, it was very, very hectic. Many radios, a lot of chatter and direction going on, but we definitely heard the airship say that they had somebody running southbound.